Yo, 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 welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade, and today we're doing something different. It's all Hard Pass all the time. Something about this week got us into the mood of handing out not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Hard Passes. All right. Let's start with the hard pass to camping out for sneakers because, man, you never know if you're wasting your time. So last week was supposed to be the in-person release for the Nike Dunk What the Duck at Flight Club locations in LA, Miami, and New York. Full disclosure, I received a pair of these for an unboxing that I posted on the main Cousteau channel. Check that out after you finish hard pass. Anyway, I say supposed to be because apparently things got a little too feisty at the New York location that it had to be shut down. As a result of the shutdown, the sneakers were offered via a raffle. It should be noted that it looks like the Los Angeles and Miami launches appeared to have went off without a hitch. First of all, a hard pass to people who were causing the ruckus. Like, what are we doing? It's never that serious, man. It's just sneakers. No matter how much clout you can get for rocking them or how much you can flip them for, any sort of physicality or worse over sneakers is just silly to me, man. At the same time, I feel bad for the people that were just there minding their business. Like, imagine lining up days before a launch and having it ruined because others don't know how to act. Fortunately, I've never had the misfortune of being involved in any kind of nonsense like that whenever I had to line up for a pair of sneakers. But also, I don't line up for sneakers as a rule because I worry something like this might happen, and that was a rule even before I was doing this as a career. I know we all want to put on the rose-tinted glasses of the past and talk about the good old days when we camped out for sneakers and made lifelong friends with people in line, but let's be real here. Bad stuff happened back in the days too. The risk, no matter how cool the sneakers were, was never worth it to me. And look, I've said it before whenever I talk about the folly of camping out. I understand my sneaker privilege. I am fortunate enough that lining up for sneakers is not really something I have to do. At the same time, if you check the main Cousteau channel or my social media, you know that I don't always get the hype sneakers that push the numbers up. Does that mean I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. on a Tuesday to camp out at a Flight Club LA for a release on Friday? No. My time is more valuable than that. Your time is more valuable than that, especially when there's a non-zero chance it could be all for nothing because some unserious people think they can jump the line. But this hard pass isn't just for camping out. It's for the hosts of these events. Doesn't matter if it's Flight Club or Foot Locker or Nike or Target or Walmart. Doing a kind of launch for a new product that's first come, first serve is just a fool's errand in 2024. Yes, a majority of these events do occur peacefully, but we have so many ways to combat these now, and it just screams of laziness or nihilism or both that anyone even bothers with the first come, first serve approach. Whatever boost in social media your store might get from posting pictures or videos of people lining up is going to be negated if something dumb were to happen. Like, it works if you're a restaurant or a fancy new pop-up spot that sells chili and donuts, but when there's money to be made, doesn't matter if it's sneakers or the next PlayStation, people will find a way to ruin that good time. All right, our second hard pass. It goes to Jerry Lorenzo's time at Adidas because, man, I could be wrong, but it sure feels like both sides are ready to move on to whatever the next thing is. A few weeks ago, we talked about reports that Adidas was not interested in renewing their deal with Lorenzo. When Complex reached out for a comment, Jerry said that he was unaware of Adidas's intentions, but that he was busy at work with the Fear of God Basketball 2 and Basketball 3 silhouette. He also said that these two models will basically determine the future of his partnership with Adidas. Well, we got our first look at the Fear of God Basketball 2 during an episode of the Idea Generation show, and while we'll reserve an actual judgment on the model once we get official photos, I don't know that it's going to quiet the whispers that it's time for both parties to move on. I mean, on Idea Generation, Jerry talks about how his first few years with Adidas was tough because he hit the ground running and all sorts of things were being thrown his way that pulled his focus away from the task at hand. There wasn't a time to develop a proper work rhythm that allowed him to breathe, which is a little eyebrow raising when you think about when he signed with Adidas and the output since then. Nevertheless, the result of that lack of focus was the Fear of God Basketball 1, a shoe that Jerry loves. However, in his words, it was not what neither he nor Adidas promised to the consumers, and so the lukewarm reception to it was expected. The 2 is supposed to be the fulfillment of that promise, but can it be anything more than too little, too late whenever it drops? The word that keeps popping up from the community when you see Fear of God work with Adidas is uninspired. Well, the other word is overpriced, but everybody knew that already. A little harsh because, hey, look, the creative process is not easy. You can have all of the best designers in a room, but if nothing sparks that creative juice, the result is not going to be that much different than what somebody can make on Create a Shoe mode in NBA 2K. And note, we only play the basic play now modes in 2K, so we have no idea if Create a Shoe is even in the game still. But anyways, when you line up all of the Fear of God Adidas sneakers, they do share a lot of the same energy. Now, whether that's the point or not is up to Jerry and his team. But whatever their intention is, the public just isn't rocking with it, man. And that's why a lot of people feel it's best for Jerry and Adidas to move on, consciously uncouple, if you will. Too much time has passed with too few product to show for it that it might be too late to save it. Now, whether that means a return to Nike or a move to a different brand or a new direction for Fear of God proper remains to be seen. I don't want to count him out just yet. When he says that he wants Fear of God to be perpetual like Rolex, I think we all, as a collective, want to believe that's possible. Despite our critiques, if a Fear of God or an Off-White or a Just Dawn could become the next Ralph Lauren or Lacoste or Hugo Boss, aka brands that stand the test of time, that would be a cool feather on the cap of that generation of streetwear brands. But they have to get through the rough patches, and for Fear of God, time will tell if they get through. Jerry says the story has already been written. We just have to see what the next chapters are. And before we move to the pick of the week, a quick hard pass to Caitlin Clark. Not because we have some weirdo agenda that's either for or against her. No, we're not terminally online freaks who use Clark as some sort of cudgel to get out a toxic culture war nonsense take. What we are, though, are terminally online freaks who can't get over the fact that Caitlin might also be good at golf. Like, come on, people, what are we doing here? First, it was Steph Curry being so good at golf that people think he could make a real run at the PGA Tour after he's done with basketball. Now it's Caitlin playing the Pro-Am at an LPGA event in November, the second time she's done so after participating at a PGA Pro-Am event last year. Now, to be fair, if you're a celebrity of any sort with a decent handicap, you can get on the Pro-Am. But apparently, Clark shoots in the low 80s, which is not bad for someone who is also a world-class hooper. It's just not fair, man. Steph and Caitlin are already so good at what they do, and now they have to come to my world and be killers there too? I'm kidding, of course. It's actually really, really cool that Clark is into golf. If she can be a Trojan horse that gets fans of the W into checking out golf, that would be awesome. And if her energy can rub off on the stars of the LPGA the same way that Siwoo Kim channeled the Steph Curry night-night energy onto the President's Cup, I welcome it. Bring it to me. Put it in my veins. All right, for the pick of the week, we're going to go with the Nike Zoom Kobe 5 Protro X-Ray. This is going to be on the 17th for $190. Now, we'll talk about the release of this sneaker on the last segment of this show, but I got to say, if we're creating sneakers out of classic t-shirts, I'm going to need an MV Puppets Kobe 5 sooner rather than later. And if we want to be really bold, a Kobe 4 LeBron Soldier 3 MV Puppets pack. Make it happen, John Don. Wait. Still getting used to it. Make more Kobe and LeBron packs, Elliott Hill. All right. Our next hard pass goes to Red Bull over the treatment of Daniel Ricciardo, former driver for I'll get it right. Visa Cash App RB F1 team. It's been a few weeks, but F1 fans, particularly those who got into the sport through Netflix's Drive to Survive, are still reeling from the callous way that Red Bull let go of the Honey Badger, one of Ricciardo's many nicknames. The breakout star driver on the show, Ricciardo's journey through the years made for amazing television. His affable personality and willingness to be an absolute goofball endeared him to a worldwide audience that probably couldn't separate F1 from NASCAR from IndyCar prior to Drive to Survive. From leaving Red Bull to escape the shadow of Max Verstappen to the roller coaster ride that were the stints at Renault and McLaren to an eventual return to Red Bull but as a driver for the junior team, it felt like fans were being set up for an amazing prodigal son returns moment. But that's not how it worked out. Because even though Daniel Rick did end up back at Red Bull, he was never able to produce the results that the higher-ups wanted and the fans hoped. He was released with several races left in the season, a common practice for Red Bull when drivers are not meeting their high and possibly unfair expectations, and that sucks. Look, if there's one thing we've learned from F1 after watching a full season for the first time in all of Drive to Survive, is that this sport is pretty damn ruthless. Young drivers that rise up through the ranks barely have a season to prove their worth before they are sent packing if they're not delivering results. Veterans that win races and world championships finish their careers at the back of the grid with teams that you would think are beneath their talents. Once everybody saw that Ricciardo couldn't even keep up with teammate Yuki Tsunoda this season, the end was inevitable, but nobody expected it would happen the way that it did. In Singapore, with Ricciardo in 18th place and seemingly doing the Red Bull A-team a favor by posting the fastest lap, stealing a championship point away from Verstappen's rival Lando Norris, for everything that Danny Ric had done for F1's explosion in popularity, he deserved better. Not saying that Red Bull is wrong because, hey, their system of doing things has produced multiple world championships. But when you look at the totality of Ricciardo's impact, a proper send-off that lets him finish the season and say goodbye to the fans supersedes any plans they had with that junior team seat. Maybe if he had never left Red Bull in the first whatever. It made for interesting content for Drive to Survive, which I imagine a good chunk of Season 7 is going to be about this whole saga. So there's that, I guess. So long to the Honey Badger. Now go win championships at NASCAR or something. All right. Finally, the last hard pass of the week belongs to people still blaming Vanessa Bryant for why they can't get Kobe Protros. This week, Nike will release the Nike Kobe 5 X-Ray 5 rings, an homage to an iconic t-shirt from the early 2010s that featured the late Kobe Bryant's hand and the various injuries he's endured to acquire rings that are also on the same hand. It's the latest in a series of Kobe Protros that first popped up on Vanessa's Instagram page and then got a retail release weeks later. It's also the latest in a series of Kobe Protros that first popped up on Vanessa's Instagram page that people preemptively claimed they would miss out on. Oops. Sorry, they didn't actually say that on Vanessa's Instagram page because she has limited the comments to people she follows. Smart. Instead, you see those complaints on all of the aggregator accounts. Want instant engagement on sneaker social media? Just leave a comment that's some combination of taking an L or Vanessa promised or Kobe didn't want this, and you're going to get that clout. But here's the thing. Is it still difficult to buy Kobe Protros? Let's do a deep dive. And by deep dive, I mean let's do some Google searches. Okay, if you search for Kobe Protros right now online, you'll see the Team Bank colorways of the Kobe 8 Protros are available at retailers like Hibbett Sports or Dick's Sporting Goods, and a lot of them still have close to full size runs. If you've got kids that you want to lace up in Kobe's, those are not that hard to find either. If you want to head to the mall or a shopping center to buy a pair, that might be a little tougher, but there's no shortage of posts on social media and YouTube videos of people saying Kobe's are sitting. So yeah, for anybody right now who says they can't buy Kobe Protros, do your own research and not the kind that just confirms your biases. But what if they don't want Team Bank colorways? Okay, fair play. But I thought this was about buying Kobe's, period. I was under the assumption that the online vitriol stemmed from not being able to buy any Kobe's, not just hype Kobe's that resell for double or triple retail. Because if it's the former, I would argue correctly that things are getting better. It took longer than expected, but it's happening. Now, if it's the latter, and what the people want are hyped Kobe's, well, welcome to sneaker buying in the modern era. Some colorways of a signature shoe are easy to buy. Some, not so easy. But then I thought to myself, how is the Kobe resale market right now? Well, let's do some more research. And by research, I mean how much resellers are asking for it on GOAT, StockX, and others. Let's see. The Kobe 9 Halo, the most recent hyped Kobe drop prior to the X-Ray, is still available at places like Sneaker Politics and Kicks Crew. But if you want the resale pair so you can walk around with that authentication hang tag for some reason, they are hovering around the retail price at most platforms, with some sizes available for below MSRP. The same goes for the Gold Medal Kobe 4, the Girl Dad Kobe 4, the Venice Beach Kobe 8, the All-Star Kobe 4, etc., etc. Now, when you get to the Reverse Grinch or the Mambasita 8s, those are creeping up to the $400 range. Tougher pill to swallow, but nowhere near the levels in the year prior. And then there are the original Grinches and Bruce Lee's and Undefeateds that are at the $500 level and beyond, and well, you're just going to have to chalk those up to the game, people. Arguing those releases should be made available to everybody is an entirely different discussion. The point is, if you want Kobe's and not just the ones that make you cool, you can get Kobe's right now at retail or less, and some of the hyped pairs for 1.5 times MSRP. According to Nike CFO Matt Friend, Kobe sneakers in the market quadrupled in the past year, from 3 releases in 2023 to a whopping 15 in 2024. The course correction is happening as we speak. As is the case whenever a celebrity passes, there is a surge in demand for anything related to them. What made Kobe's situation unique, apart from the sad circumstances of his passing, is that he appeared to be on the way out at Nike, which meant the supply of Nike Kobe sneakers was going to dry up. Couple that with the explosion of the collectibles market at the beginning of the pandemic, and you've got not just Kobe fans going after his sneakers with plenty of discretionary income because they can't leave the house, but opportunistic resellers scooping up everything Kobe in sight in the hopes of cashing in. But as time passed and Nike and the Bryant estate came to an agreement, Kobe's becoming easier to buy was inevitable. And yet, somehow, this is still leading to Vanessa becoming a scapegoat to this day, even though she has been transparent in her hopes of making the shoes more available. Now, that it is, we've still got complaints being lobbed her way. It's got a lot of Adidas is going out of business because they dropped Kanye, or Nike is lost without Kyrie energy. They found a thing to get mad about, fair or not, and even though the narrative has changed and most people have moved on, they're still raging on in the comments for some reason. Just log off, walk into a store, buy some Protros, and move on. Is it going to be the Protros that you really want or what the internet told you should want? Maybe not, but the goal was always to get Kobe's back on store shelves, and we're getting closer to that goal. Direct that energy towards Nike. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.